Good morning. It's still morning time where I am. Good morning, everybody. It is just 10:30 a.m. East Coast time. It is Friday. It's time for the Stacks Community Innovation and Improvement Proposal Show. Here with myself, we got Hero Gamer and Brendan Hattie Hadfield in the house. What's up, Hero? What's up, Hattie? How are you guys today?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
What's happening? How you guys doing today? What
Yeah,
I don't
good.
even know what's on the agenda for today.
We'll talk about the three SIPs that we've been through. However, there was a SIP draft released on one of the missing SIPs from last week. If you remember, there was an ad block discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you can hear me okay today.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn my recording on. Okay, so so we will talk about three SIPs today. In particular, just to highlight that the SIP draft being out for the one that was missing, the ad block thing, which allows pruned nodes, which we haven't had before. So that ad block SIP is in the SIP repo right now. So that's good news. That means the rest of the people can do their official work now. And we'll talk about a little bit other news and stuff like that.
Cool.
And I heard Zenitron want to come on and talk about his stuff. I guess he's just wondering where his stuff is.
Yeah.
So I had a quick look. Quick look through where his stuff is at. So.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good.
Do you guys have anything that you?
I don't have anything specifically I wanted to touch on SIP-wise today, so the show is all yours, sir.
Patty, got anything you want to bring up?
I wasn't here last week, but I have maybe two things. One from SIP 39 and then at block. I have a few questions.
Yeah. So why don't we start with that? Let me take a quick look. So just to give people the background, that we should have an upcoming upgrade. And that upgrade, usually just one big SIP. But this upgrade will consist of three SIPs doing various features, improving various features. The first one is clarify and bug fixes and some improvements. The second SIP is improving the post conditions. And the third SIP is this ad block function that the core devs are proposing to remove. So these are the background already off date, and because the upcoming upgrade, some of the features are consensus breaking. Therefore, we want to do a community vote. So Hattie, what was your question about the third SIP, the ad block?
The only thing I was trying to figure out was we have pruned nodes, but then you can have, is it archive nodes as well?
We have pruned node and an archivable node, yes.
Okay, so what is the incentive? The problem I have is, what's the incentive for running an archive node? Because obviously you're carrying a lot of data. That was the only question I had, was there doesn't seem to be any incentive to run an archive node, just to run a prune node. I understand prune nodes from a decentralized perspective. It's really great that we have prune nodes because they have them in other blockchains. It was just interesting to understand, we're going to lose functionality if people don't carry an archive node, and is there an incentive or some structure for that?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think typically people run this, bro. There is no like official hey, if you run this, here is your 0.003 Bitcoin every block, right? So I think in other ecosystems, some people may run them because they're it helps you to do like staking. Um, and maybe through staking you earn reward, therefore that keeps the incentives up. I think in stacks, I cannot be 100% sure on this topic, so maybe that's something we can ask the devs. But I think you have the unincentivized perspective, which means like, okay, even if it's not incentivized, what's your incentive? I think some, maybe more people in the weed, may want to verify their own transactions or verify whatever is being processed without a third party. And because every time you're making calls to maybe Hero API, I guess you're relying on them, like on an infrastructure level. Second of all, you are not really verifying, you're verifying through them. So there's a sovereignty part where you can self-verify rather than relying on a third party to verify for you as an intermediary. So I would say this is one of the key benefits, that by hosting your own archivable node, you should be able to verify back to block one yourself. So this would be the non-monetary side incentive, which may not apply to everybody, I guess. And I think it depends like whether the stakers are required to run archivable nodes. That's a good question, actually. Maybe the stack stakers who want to stake stacks and receive Bitcoin as stacking mechanism, are they required to run the archivable nodes, or are we saying those guys can just run the prune node and that's sufficient enough for them to participate in stacking? My memory of what the conversation with the core devs last week was, I think the signers and the miners, I believe they want to make it easier for them to participate in this kind of activity. Therefore, if we did have a prune node, it would make the integration much easier for those business partners to join the network. Therefore, I think the incentive is to lower the barrier for those. So I guess if going by that logic, they might not want those proof of transfer stuff to require them to have to run archival nodes. That would be my guess, and we can verify that.
Yeah, well, the signers should be incentivized to run a full node because they're getting something for being signers. So
Yeah.
I assume that should be a prerequisite for them and not lower the barrier for entry for them, but for new people, I assume. Or how we...
Yeah, what we talk about it, that's just posted on Stacks forum so that they can answer to the community, so everybody will have the same information. Oh, do you want to post about it? Actually, I think it's a really valid question. Do you want to post about it?
Yeah, I'll post
Addy?
about it. I just wanted to bring it up today because it's something I was thinking about. Was we're dropping off a functionality that we're not going to be able to look back. Is the only problem I have.
The conversation last
Yeah, so
that's not actually accurate though, because it's not the only.
Yeah, Peace, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not even really necessary. Like, we're not actually losing any functionality based on the conversation last week. That was my concern, was, well, is there a reason why we wouldn't want to do that? Like, what are we losing from it? And I guess it's the function, the app block function is not really used, and there are a number of other ways to facilitate the use cases. So we're not really giving anything up. It's basically what I was told last week.
Okay, well, that's not what I looked at when I was going through it today. So, but they're not defining what is going to solve that problem. If I want to look back at history, they're not giving me a definitive answer of how we'll do it. That's the problem I have.
Yeah, so I kind of brought up a similar question last week, but it was like, who is going to have a copy of the master, like the archivable nodes? Who will be the last copy? Like, if Stacks Labs doesn't have it, is there somebody that in the world that have that copy? So that was sort of my question too. It didn't seem to be a worry for them, but I think the fallback is Stacks Labs guys or the Go Dev side.
There was a
but I guess like if I were to be more adversarial, I would say, okay.
Bryce had indicated, I don't remember where exactly, but Bryce had indicated somewhere that it was available. The archive nodes are going to be available to look back at, but it's not even. So the conversation last week, Hattie, was that like there's only in the last year or whatever, there's only like eight individual calls that have even used this in the last year. It's not something that's being used, and I don't know the technical details of it, but according to the devs that were on the show last week, it's not. Basically, there's no function that's missing. It's going to actually be usable anyway, and what they might be using it for is doable in other ways. So the biggest concern is just reaching out to the people that have it in contracts now to make sure that their contracts don't get stuck before this gets changed. There needs to be just some update to some contracts so that funds don't get stuck in contracts without being able to complete this function.
Yeah, mine's just the arbiter of truth and auditability. So you lose that. So it may actually hinder new developers.
It's not though. From what I don't remember the detail. Like I don't remember how it was a week ago, but that was my concern. That was what I brought up last week. Like, well, what? That's this because it does seem like that, right? It seems like the ability to check back at blockchain state is important. Looks like we lost Hero. But it from the conversation last week, it's actually not. That's not actually a concern. But I would absolutely ask from your perspective in the forum, because I think having it documented there might be a good thing since we only had a conversation of it last week and we didn't actually get it into the forum.
Yeah, no, that's good. As I said, I understand from a perspective of reducing cost and easier onboarding, because I know from Bitcoin, running a full node can take, depending on your internet speed and reliability, it can take a week to pull or even longer to pull the whole history and have a full node. And I know that we'll get to that point at some stage. The problem I have is the arbiter of truth and being able to look back at the chain and have auditability, like to be able to audit it myself. And if we rely on other places to pull that, it's just who looks after it and what is the incentive. We don't want just Stacks Labs being the only arbiter of truth in a decentralized community as well. So that was my perspective.
No, I agree. That was I don't remember the details because I'm not sure of the technical side of it, but what I recall was basically it was explained that that's not actually like that. The ability to look at the history and the prior transactional functionality on the chain doesn't go away by removing this function.
Okay, I'd be keen to know how, but again, I'm non-technical. I just like to. I don't see the benefits. That's all long term.
Hello, I'm back.
You're back.
Hey, here.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think we're being like I like this type of thinking actually.
You're gone. We don't hear you.
I'm back.
You cut off in the middle of talking.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back again.
Oh, sorry. And
You're froze again. Are you on your VPN? Check your VPN.
The VPN. It should be the villain protocol.
I'm not my.
Yeah, that's what the V stands for.
So I just want to encourage the whole process. So I think the best. I had my guess. I think you guys heard my guess. Would be nobody officially is incentivized monetarily to run archivable node. There will be certain entities incentivized
Hero, your other connection was more stable. I think it was just the issue with you trying to share screen. So if you want, just drop links and I'll share screen.
Okay. Let me switch back and be back in a sec.
No problem.
Right. So while we're waiting for Hero to come back, so it's got my left field from this was to say, I see the incentive in being huge people, so like Bitflows and those will actually have these because for them it's vitally important. Like fast pools will need it, and it helps us with decentralization if more people are running full nodes versus centralization if you only have a few or you're only relying on one entity to give you truth. So that was the left field side of it. And although it's expensive, it's important to have history.
Yeah. Hello, are you? I'm back.
You're back. Oh, yes.
You're back.
So no, I was just gonna post. You guys have the link to the forum, so I think the thread about Prune Node is interesting to look at, and you can post a question there, Hedy. And I was just trying to say that we should highly encourage this kind of questioning and thought process. And I just want to go back to what I said before, that as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, there's no official incentivization like rewards wise, right? Staking, monetization to keep the node up, archivable node. So I think the only other incentive is that if nobody Stacks Lab doesn't keep archivable node, or Munib doesn't, like the network is more potentially, I don't know if it's vulnerable or not, or at least it wouldn't have the full unpruned chain state. So it is in the developers' own incentive to keep the infrastructure up. So that's the incentive I can think of, But I wouldn't say there's anything monetarily involved. I mean, the monetary stuff involved is that if they do not keep an archivable node, and for some reason we need some of those unpruned data and we can't get it, is to the network's own detriment. Therefore, people who are highly invested in the ecosystem, they would want to keep an archivable nodes around. So that would be my take.
Yeah. Plus, I remember Bryce saying something about the app block function also causes some technical problems in contracts as well. Like it causes issues in some contracts. That's why they're removing it. It because the function actually it doesn't really function how it's supposed to, and it causes problems in smart contracts. So, but my initial concern was, won't this make it impossible to actually call back to states in certain contracts and stuff? But I wasn't explained the workaround because I couldn't probably understand it if he went into it. But he did say that they'll work with people that are looking for this type of function to give them the tools necessary to be able to function with prior, pulling information from prior state. Here, are you talking?
I'm not. No.
No,
No. Oh, okay. It was given like.
I was just sharing a link with you.
Okay. No, it was must have been picking up a little bit of background noise, so it looked like you were talking, but I wasn't getting any sound. So I wasn't sure what the. So we're in SIP 42. I'll bring that up. Put that up here. And. All right, so and Francesco was on the call last week too, so it was because he's the one that I think is kind of like in charge of this. He's the author, maybe, or the proposer. Was there something specifically in here you wanted to look at, or just kind of like going through the? So it's being removed, not quote unquote deprecated. Here we've got some comments on here, but those are just from this morning. So this is actually the biggest deal too. And you're flagging it here. Any deployed contract that calls at block will begin receiving runtime errors after APOC 3.4 activates. That is probably the biggest concern as far as this upgrade, is that contracts that are currently using it are going to get stuck. And the plan was that they're going to basically just reach out to all of the contract holders that have contracts that use this function and make sure that they have, ample opportunity to upgrade and fix their contracts. And the core devs will help with that as well. That's what I recall in the conversation from last week, Hero, is that.
Sorry, I went out for a second. I'm coming back. What was your question? Just to repeat, just the question.
Just so any contract that has this issue is using this call at block will receive a runtime error after EPOC 3.4 activates. So right. That's really the biggest concern with this. Not that we're going to lose functionality, but that there are contracts that are using this call, this function, and that there will be issues if they don't update their contracts and work around it.
So that is like generally correct. I think it's just two different topics to what Hattie brought. One is, does it break stuff? The other aspect is, in general, like once we move to a new world where a pruned node is available, is everybody just going to run pruned node and nobody's going to use archivable node? I think just two different things. One is a direct side effect. The other one is an indirect second order effect, if you like. What that the implications of that. But as far as the question you asked me, yes. So some contract may break. We don't know whether those contracts are like, does it affect like the token getting stranded? I think that was, if any concern, that would be the biggest concern, I think. And some people, if you read, if you actually read or if you attend, or if you guys, Setsu's actually mentioned Clarity Working Group that AdBlock is actually a very useful function. If you went to the forum piece, you would see, if you go to the Clarity Working Group note, I should have written about that. But essentially what Setsu said was, it is a very useful function to have.
This one here.
You don't have to have. It just probably not getting utilized by many people, but actually on its own is actually a pretty powerful. It can be a really powerful tool. Just people are not using it as perhaps they should be. Probably, it doesn't have to be because of the function itself. It's not useful. Maybe lack of education effort to to utilize this. But
so based on your summary, and this is SIP 42 that we're talking about right now. So this is a summary for that. Current blocks chain state size reached 1 terabyte. Major barrier for node operators. So, and that's also the other part of it, is that it makes, I guess it has to be removed to allow the pruning function or something, pruning.
If you don't limit it in some capacity, have a pruned version of the node very easily, I guess, and that's why they want to have this at least limited, at best removed, so that we can allow a second version of the node being spun up if you want a X node light, if you like.
Right.
There's ways to think about it. But this add block function being used in various ways right now creates some bugs. And this, due to the various issues, you cannot have a version called Stacks Node Lite being spun up. Therefore, if you want to come to Stacks, you must have a higher requirement of your hardware, I guess. And by removing this add block, you should start to see the minimum hardware coming down, able to run a Stacks Node Lite.
Which is great for decentralization.
Correct, and that's like a side point to why I think the governance cap should probably take a look at this SIP. I don't know about approving it or not, but it's worth, from a governance standpoint, taking a look at this SIP because of this specific feature from a decentralization perspective.
So, and Adriano is estimating that there's millions of dollars across the network in collective storage savings.
Yeah, so I guess that point is to do with if you don't need if you just run a Stacks Node Lite, you're saving a lot of people want to run it. Like, we're saving a lot of barriers to entry.
Right. Makes it much easier for a new person to start up a node. They don't have as much hardware cost.
Yes.
And that means that the network is way more robust because we'll have more nodes, period.
Yeah. I mean, robustness also, relating back to what Hattie said, is a network full of pruned nodes, zero archival node, robust? We don't know, right? And I think
I don't remember what he said, but I don't think that there's any situation that results in zero archival nodes. I don't remember whether he said core.
No, I don't think so. There's always Stacks Labs, like I said.
Right, Stacks Labs will have an archive node forever.
But if we just play it to the most extreme extent, let's say Stacks Lab doesn't exist, or for whatever reason that there's a power outage, or maybe it was wherever it's being hosted has a cyber attack, let's say, right? So for that short period of time, we might not have Stacks Labs. In a situation where we don't have Stacks Lab, who else is gonna be that And so back to what Hattie was mentioning. Okay, so is there incentive to have it?
Well, I do think like entities
Which
like
will
Fastpool and Bitflow, the larger players, Stacking DAO, they will have an incentive based on their requirement to have a robust blockchain, period. Plus, they're already managing this larger state nodes already, so they don't have to switch to a prune node unless they're looking to save on storage, which if the trade-off.
So I guess question: would an expert who basically is a pool operator need to run an archival node, or can they just run a prune node? Because the requirement to become a pool run a prune node, be incentivized to lower their costs, just to run a prune node, to run a pool. Therefore, you might start seeing less because now everybody is on archivable node, and then you might start seeing like people switching to prune node, and only like one left with archivable node potentially. But yeah, that's something to be confirmed with the pool devs.
Just
assumption, actually.
Yeah, I think that I'd be curious to know if you can actually run a pool with a prune node. I don't know that that's actually I don't think you can run a full stacking node, like a full actual like stacking node with a prune node.
Anyway, I would just I can write the reply myself, all these questions, but I think it's nice practice for maybe Hattie just to just to put that on the forum so that everybody can read the response.
Yeah, I'm gonna write the response. I think the biggest problem I have here, which hasn't been explained to me, and what I see the problem is one is running a stating contract where they're using mathematics to go backwards. So I had 2 stacks this run, then after those 6, then it's saying I have 2 stacks plus something else. You're going back to do it, but I still think it opens up vectors of attack here. That's what I see, because you haven't got immutable truth on chain. You're running it through contracts, and you're trusting those contracts to give the right thing. But as we know, and as we continue to go with AI, somebody's going to inject something somewhere, which is then going to create a massive problem unless you're running a full archival node that you can point to and say, this is immutable truth. That's the problem I see long term. I understand the short term gain, but I think long term it hurts us.
I think it's actually probably not that big of an issue, but Trip brings up, we didn't talk about miners. Would a miner always represent a full archival node? And that probably, it would be in their incentive to make sure that they got the full state.
Correct. We need somebody who's incentivized to run a full node. So maybe that's who it is the miner, is the incentivized party to hold this, global state for us.
Yeah, I think stacking nodes and miners and core entities and protocols are all incentivized to keep archival nodes.
In theory, yes. That's clarified that maybe it is. I'm just gonna take the opposite. I'm gonna say my guess is no, but I hope you guys are right.
Well,
I'm saying no.
They're incentivized as long as they want to keep operating on the network in a secure and robust way, right?
Yes, but there is a minimum requirement that you should specify. Okay, in order to run a pool, feel free to run a prune node, and if that's the case, is that robust enough? Like, do we want to specify the minimum is to run archivable? I did actually it's kind of like even for his node, for his like fast pool, it was like getting more difficult, and so I think the pool operators, as much as they like to help the network to be robust node, but if they do not, like it's not like a must, they might go to per node.
It does. I mean, it definitely is worth some more conversation for sure, just to get some clarification on these things.
Or is maybe what is it? And does the signer, because you have the miners and the signers, and maybe pool operators, do these parties are these parties required to run archivable nodes or not? And maybe getting that clarification will probably help a lot.
Yeah. So what's so basically this needs a little bit more conversation, so we can get into the forum, maybe ask a little bit more and get some clarification on some of these things.
Yeah. I mean, you could even just go directly to the SIP repo itself to post about those questions, and those will get discussed more. I guess the core devs definitely head there to see it. So if you went to the SIP repo, you can post there too. Oh, I need this because I deleted my comment by mistake, because I thought there was a duplicate, so I deleted the both. Well, I deleted one.
You did have a duplicate. You had two of the same.
I did, but then I deleted one. Disappeared.
All right.
Pretty odd.
Let me.
If you refresh the page. Oh yeah, please. Give me that copy.
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
If you send it to me in Discord DM or something.
Yeah. Let me. I'm just gonna message you on X because that's what I have convenient right now. Would that be good?
Yeah. Me on X. That's fine.
And we'll refresh to see what happened.
It's gone?
Oh, it's completely gone. And now it's a bug.
I deleted just one.
But now I show two of my question.
What?
There's a bug in the GitHub.
Maybe, there's a bug in GitHub.
That's not good.
Wow, interesting. Where is Zenitron? Because I do want to answer his question.
He hasn't popped in. I don't know. He did say he was going to.
Zenitron, if you hear me, please jump on. If not, I will answer his question too about the status of where his SIP is at. So let me share the link with you.
Actually, I think I know where it is right here. It's PR250, which is I think SIP 38. Is this the one?
Yeah, so that's his SIP. And you also check out the to do with Jesse, JW, proposing a table that basically will show.
So we can also do it here. Oh, okay, so this is all of the SIPs.
Yeah, so what Jesse proposes, instead of waiting for some people to approve or not approve, or moving from draft to the next stage, let's just display everybody's proposal.
As soon as it gets assigned a SIP number, it goes onto that main page, so it's easier to find.
Zenitron doesn't have to worry about like things have to get officially approved or anything like that, because as far as he's concerned, if the specification is good enough and final enough.
So I know Zenitron's question was generally, it's already been reviewed. So I think he's wondering what the next step is after the review process and everything.
I would, let's say, go to the technical cap and say this. That's no longer in the scope of what I'm not doing that task. So somebody like a SIP editor, in theory, or should then go and almost like present SIP, saying all the things have been resolved, and start coordinating like a vote.
In your prior role, how would you reach out to the technical cab?
Because there's a group, so you guys, governance have a group chat, technical cap have a public group chat in Discord. I would almost say to them, hey, chairperson, because each cap has like a lead, I would say, could you host a vote, internal cap vote, to approve, or at least to review and decide if this SIP is approved or not? Or do you need the supporter to make any adjustments or comments or questions that you may have that's not answered yet? And then they will sort of part of the SIP process. So I would have taken this, go to the chair, ask if you could help host a vote, conclude the vote, and most of the time it do get passed because it's been reviewed several times. And then that would allow the change the status of that from draft to so that responsibility currently lies with the foundation. So I can only redirect Zenitron to the foundation to ask, request for coordination, let's say.
So who is it the responsibility of SIP editors to do that, or how does that?
Well, historically it's been the responsibility of right, or like kind of like project coordinator, but that's being sort of that spread to different part of the department now. So I would imagine going forward, this will 100% sit with and sit a SIP editor for sure, or somebody in that process.
Okay, so it's just a matter of identifying. It's no one in particular's responsibility right now. Seems.
Moment, because they are shifting they are re-scoping the responsibility by, part of it moving to zero authority DAO too, part of it, trying to reactivate the SIP editors more, give them more responsibilities, so that it doesn't have to be reliant on a SIP resident or SIP coordinator like myself. So it's currently, it's almost like part of the governance upgrade, if you like, that foundation is working on.
So we just need to. So it needs to go to technical cab. It's probably just technical cab?
Yeah, I think so. There's nothing economic or governance as far as I can see. So if we look back to the previous, so one point of reference would be if you go back to SIP 10 or SIP 9 and look at who reviewed it. it was just a technical cap. If you go to, you know how to navigate.
I don't know how to see who reviewed it.
Consideration. That means that field. That means who reviewed it, basically.
All right, so here it says consideration technical.
Yeah, it's just a phrasing. It's called consideration, and technical was involved. There was no governance. There was no economics, I guess. So at the time, at that moment,
This didn't require a. It wasn't consensus breaking. It's just a standardization, even with SIP 10.
Yes, correct. Type, that's standard, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's not actually here.
Go to files change.
Okay.
And go. Yeah, that is there.
Okay. So it's just not on the. So the conversation happens, but we don't see this. So you have to go to the files changed to actually read this.
Yes. Yes, sir. That's how GitHub works. Welcome to GitHub.
So here, a quick
Comments is
question:
like-
who defines who has to consider the SIP?
The SIP author have an idea, right? The SIP editor, the one looking. I think the main responsibility, in my opinion, should be SIP editors, but the community. I mean, like, for example, I said app block. I would advise a governance cap look at it, even though the SIP itself may just say technical cap looking at it. So it's a part responsibility of the community, I would say. If disagree with that, we can't just leave it as it is. But I would say the first point of contact would be the SIP editor. But before SIP editor, because the SIP author needs to place a draft, he may know or may not know what to put there. But if he has some ideas and some historical contact with upfront, like what to put.
So
From experience, doesn't. If it does this case, Zenitron is the first time SIP author. He doesn't know who to get reviewed. He might put that as blank. Blank field goes to SIP editor. The SIP editor would advise which considerations to consider.
So the where is it for the one for removal of app block? So
Okay.
for removal of app block,
Go to file change. See who have been. Okay, just technical, right?
but
So
it's consensus breaking. So wouldn't any consensus breaking SIP that requires a vote automatically kind of have to go to governance cap because it requires a vote?
like I wouldn't say so. Like some purely technical, there's no element of governance or economics implications.
Well, isn't a consensus break an element of governance, even though it's not a proposal?
Yeah,
Governance.
I get what you mean. Maybe you can propose every consensus must require all, but under the current, I don't think it specifies it has to be that way. So the current thinking is if it's consensus break, it'll go up for community token voting anyways. So it's not like there isn't gonna be anybody looking at it at all.
So, and I mean, and I totally understand too, like the difference between requiring a vote and having an impact on governance itself is two different things. But it would make sense for me to just have eyeballs on it from a governance standpoint when it requires a vote. Even though
Feel free to post that. You guys are the. I count you guys as a governance expert. Like you guys are the group of experts of governance. And should you, under all of maybe your cap, come to pretty consensus saying we want to post it in a spectrum, say let's be more thorough, and whenever any consensus or consensus breaking SIP should require all caps, like you would be calling like economics cap too, or what? Or where's your?
Well, I think actually that does make sense. Any consensus breaking SIP should get input from all of the cabs, just because it requires vote from the entire community. So everyone needs to know about it. Everyone should be participating in that before it goes to a community-wide vote. Just to give perspective, maybe it should have some kind of governance implication. Maybe it should have some kind of economic input, or if it's consensus breaking, it impacts the entire ecosystem. So it's not just one category at that point. Otherwise, then it could be category specific or cab specific. But I think it makes sense that a consensus breaking change to the blockchain would get eyeballs from all of the cabs who are all coming at it from a different perspective, and there might be a governance piece in this that we didn't think about because whatever. I don't think there is. It's not a change to the governance. But if the governance cab doesn't look at it, then we don't know. And it doesn't take long to review.
I see where you're coming from. If the governance cab doesn't look at it, you don't know. That's that can be. I
think I lost you here.
Difference.
You're back.
I mean, I personally don't think there's going to be huge difference. If there are any improvements, it's like minor improvements. So it's no worse. So it should make it more robust. It will. That would be like more. So that's the trade-off, which for consensus breaking, probably worth it. So I think maybe if you actually feel that is relevant, I think maybe in your governance cap piece, talk about it a little bit, and then maybe make a Stacks forum post to make this proposal to change to this new paradigm under the SIP 000-1 upgrade. But then you need to specify the text in SIP 000-1 to.
Yeah. So I guess it would be for me to reach out to the cab members and just kind of maybe kick it around with them first. Hey,
kick around the idea.
Work for everybody, but maybe if there's a consensus break, we should all be looking at it, all of the cabs. Now, I just switched over to SIP 39, which is Clarity 5 and Epoch 33.4. And I'm looking at it, and it's for consideration to both governance and technical, and it is a consensus breaking SIP. But I don't know what in there is specific to governance. Is anything changing in Clarity 5? Is anything in that actually changing the governance on Stacks?
So you brought a really good. I added a governance cap about this. If you read the DM, you will see two that SIPs that are currently called for governance cap, which I don't understand why, and the one that has ad block SIP, which has more governance implication. It didn't make sense to me personally, right? Claritify, I would say the only thing that's the most, and if you actually read the link that I posted in your DM group, governance tab DM group, I gave a link to where the technical cap people are and the SIP editors. I basically said that, you know, you basically Clarity 5, find myself Clarity 5. Does it have the rejectable transaction in Clarity 5? Let me check.
Yeah, in 39, I think that, I don't know if they
It does.
included in, it does, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, so it does. So rejectable transaction miners activities, because previous transaction that couldn't be mined can be mined, i.e. they can collect the fees, and that might or may not have governance implication, but at least it has economics implication, because it's a changes to the miners' behavior, how they ink in the block. So I almost basically argue that if I were to be strict about who should be considered, which caps should be considered for this SIP, I would personally call for an economics, probably leave the governance cap out. It's a change of minor behavior. Is it actually going to change the decentralization or stuff like that? I'm not too sure about that, how much it will actually influence the governance side of stacks. But the rest other functions, I cannot personally see relevance to governance. So to simplify what we were talking about, I think this one and the other one, the improved post conditions, do not really need governance. If you go to improved post conditions, I believe it calls for governance cap as well.
So I've got a few concerns with 39 though.
All right, so
we don't have like time to talk through everything, maybe.
Governance and technical, governance and technical are the ones on SIP 40 as well.
Yeah, and Hattie, I think it's good to like post your concern on Stacks Forum or directly in the PR itself.
What are your general concerns though, Hattie?
There is no gas fee optimization built into this, so it leaves us open to a DOS attack. So I would probably play on it could potentially make it really cheap for somebody to attack the network is all. So I look for edge cases. It's an edge case, but it's not covered.
So there's no regulation of gas fees in case. So if somebody just submitted a bunch of transactions, it wouldn't automatically drive up the fees? Correct.
So it could potentially it could also incentivize miners to take it. So there's two sides to it's a double-edged sword. So you have the option where it's expensive, so the miners are going to take it. It blocks up the chain, so it means your or my transactions don't get through. It could be the other side where it's super cheap that I could just attack the system running 128 levels down. So I could call 128 times and play a really long contract out and hog the system. It could also be that if I really wanted to be very malicious, potentially hog the system so that I could front run everyone else. I know the miners are going to take the more expensive block. I'm going to hold those blocks up, and then I'm just going to push through all my transactions after that and get first dibs on a price drop. I'm playing edge case.
So how would the solution look on that?
Well, we just need to look at how they're going to. Are we going to look at how we optimize gas? So there's two sides to it. If I'm creating contracts, I need to understand how expensive it's going to be to create transactions. But at the same time, we need to ensure that we don't allow it to make it really cheap to attack the system. Because you and I suffer as real users.
Right. Now, I don't know the answer to this, but I do know that prior to Nakamoto implementation, gas fees were way higher on stacks. Usually like half an STX a lot to get a transaction through. And now they're obviously way less than a penny for most transactions. Is that being subsidized right now? Is that due to come up? Or is that just because of the nature of the cost to submit transactions is less because of Nakamoto upgrade? Is transaction fees due to go up at some point when a subsidization goes away? You guys know that?
I don't know if it's been subsidized.
No, I don't think it's been subsidized. I think it just, from my knowledge, is just generally network optimization, I think. And if I'm not wrong, when they set up the network and require higher ones, and then once they know that it's actually okay to go a little bit lower, they went a little bit lower. But that's just my guess based on maybe brief conversations that I might or may not have heard before. But yeah, I don't think anybody is subsidizing the gas so that the gas is lower. I think this is highly unlikely.
It's way cheaper though. It's not just a little bit cheaper. Since Nakamoto, it's a lot cheaper to transact on stacks, which is great, but it does open up that surface area that is a potential edge case. So I don't know that there's it probably isn't something that's going to get into Clarity 5, but it is worth pursuing and looking at for long-term sustainability for the network.
I think it's interesting to hear what the core devs say on this topic. So again, because they are not with us today, the SIP PR itself.
Yeah, so getting these questions into the forum is actually a great way to do it. If we can't get the core devs on here to answer these questions directly on a SIP show, which they obviously can't come to everyone. But we do love having them here too. It's great when they are here because I feel like I got we asked a lot of these same questions that you had, Hattie, last week on the app block removal. And I don't remember the actual answers, but I felt comfortable by the answers when I was getting them on the same concerns you have, like what happens.
And if they need to come on again, I'll reach out to them. So let me know. But that's you said don't come on every show, so post it for them to answer a synchronized and see whether we ask or you guys are satisfied with the answer, and then based on that we can decide whether to sort of request a time a little bit.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. So, Hattie, if I do think that's a valid question, by the way. Are you able to like drop a question in the forum post about Clarity 5 too? I know it's a little later into that, but I think
I'll formulate something to put in there. I just want to bring it up in the call because some people don't go in there, and this is obviously can go back, and then it's in Hero's note-taking app, which also flags it again for people who only read the summary of what's actually happening. So I just wanted to make sure it was brought up.
Right. No, I think that's actually a really interesting, definitely worth looking into, even if it doesn't get into Clarity 5 update. It's probably something we should be coming up with a solution before it becomes a problem, right? Anything else we needed to go over today? We are a little bit past the half an hour. I'm not in a super hurry to close out, but I don't need to drag it on either. Do we have anything?
I think we've answered Zenitron's question, right? So I would say we need to refer him to the foundation so that a bit of coordination can happen between the, let's say, the SIP editors and the caps. So that's settled. I think just for educational purpose, I just want to send you a link. What's happening in the Bitcoin world, basically. And I think it's interesting for everybody here, who's been part of the, who maybe editors. Give me a sec. Let me try and.
So are you're going to drop a link in the private chat?
Yeah. Give me a sec. Yeah, we'll close out with this. Maybe another tweet is better. Give me a sec. There was another better tweet. Can you see?
Brian Bishop?
Yeah, so it's to do with assigning BIP number. Assigning BIP number historically being a little bit challenging, and some people are just not happy with the way it's being rejected. So all in all, protocol, which everybody probably their BIP number were rejected. Basically saying like, yeah, you close it, blah blah blah. There are other BIP editors that offered more details and reasons. However, it doesn't like make people happy that their number got rejected. But the interesting thing is, even if it got rejected, it doesn't mean like the protocol isn't there. It will continue to function as usual, right? There's nothing changed, but almost like the BIP repo maintainers are not officializing, giving it of acknowledgement, because it is one of the more famous meta protocols around.
So just to make sure I understand, this is a proposal that was made on the Bitcoin repo for a Bitcoin improvement proposal for Ordinals.
Yes, center of Ordinals.
Like
protocol.
years ago, like 2 years ago, but when they launched
3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Yeah.
And they're just like now rejecting it.
The 2-3 years, yes, not rejecting it. That guy, Ruben Sumsum, is one of the BIP editors, which offers more reasons into what was their consideration in the head or the discussion amongst the BIP editors group that came to that conclusion. You can read about that. I just thought for you two and for whoever are the BIP SIP editors in Stacks, it's an interesting case to look at and just to learn it, We at Stacks SIP repository and the SIP editors don't have such like crazy minimum bar or something like that, and we don't like say, hey, you really want a number, we don't give you, because we kind of don't think you are a net benefit or some kind of reasoning like that, right? We keep it pretty open. However, BIP repo is a very almost like a conservative organization. Initially, when they rejected it, they didn't even want to offer any as to why they don't even want to offer a reason. And then more people jumped in with Ruben Sumsum afterwards to give more details as to the consideration that went in to the final rejection. Anyway, you can check it out in your own time. I just thought
it's
interesting education.
I don't know the history of the BIP, so, but I'm just surprised that this is. I don't know what the proposal was, but I guess the whole point is just to, like, we're trying to mirror or draw from. I don't want to say mirror. Draw from the BIP process to improve the SIP process.
Yes.
But this is definitely interesting. If I can find some time to go through this more thoroughly, I absolutely will. And thank you for surfacing it. You guys can definitely check out Ruben Somson, Brian Bishop, and this conversation, because I do think that it's worth looking at, just to get a general idea of the mechanics of blockchain governance and what it takes to make a change to decentralized blockchain like Bitcoin or Stacks.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting that to make a change, you actually can just do the change. You don't need to ask for permission. But when it comes to getting like an official certificate, that right, a BIP certificate, you can't get it.
Right. Well, and then the end result here is that the ordinals aren't going away because the SIP got deleted.
No, nothing. Yeah.
It's just not being officially indoctrinated or incorporated into the official Bitcoin repo as a standard.
Yeah, it's almost like not, but I can spin up another organization. I can copy their repo and say, hey, I certify you, but I'm nobody to certify them, so they would repo. But I can copy the BIP repo and say, hey, come to me, I will certify you. The number in. And so it's kind of a funny situation, like what they have, but yeah, it happens at Bitcoin. It's part of the governance discussion that they have all the time with UDs, like having a lot of L1 getting into this kind of Bitcoin governance discussions. But anyway, I'll stop there.
All right. Well, that is, I love it. I think that there's a lot of interesting things happening on Stacks. I love being a part of this and having these discussions. I think it's important to move and get more awareness as to how these things work, and that we do need more input from people. You have an opportunity, you who are watching this right now, that are interested in improving Stacks and Bitcoin through Stacks. It starts at the forum and tuning into these shows, getting involved in the conversations, getting over to the GitHub and learning how to read about these things, and adding your input, good, bad, or otherwise, to help make it a more rounded outcome that serves the interest of as many people as broadly as possible. So don't be shy, get involved, participate, and if you have questions or concerns, make sure you let us know. That's important. So that wraps it up for what episode number is this, Hero?
165.
165. Episode 165 of the Stacks Improvement Proposal Weekly Call. Currently here at 10:30 a.m. every Friday. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Hattie. Thank you, Hero. And I am Peace Love Music. We are DeOrganized Media. Thank you for tuning in today. Y'all have a blessed rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you, gents.
Peace out.
Sip call fades, but the repo remains. Jazz in the logic, truth in the change. Sip call spinning up, Friday in the frame. Screens glow softly, builders by name. Governance talk, not a corporate game. Decentralized minds, all aiming the same. Push to the set repo, ideas on the wire. Merge or revise, that's how we conspire. No suits, no boss, just code and desire. Consensus and rhythm, truth in the choir. Under the hood we engage and refine. Every commit, a new design. Governance flowing, elegant lines. Sips in session, keeping time. Static on the mic, someone takes the floor. Let's break that loop, optimize more.